We're going to be talking now about financial inclusion in universities, because University of Pretoria students saying that tomorrow they're also going to be marching on similar issues. For more on this and then events currently unfolding at Wits, we are joined now by Universities SA CEO Professor Ahmed Bawa. Prof, good afternoon. Not such a good afternoon if you are a student from Wits University and you are concerned that police may have used live ammunition, with one man dead now, a 35-year-old. We understand, and we are hearing that he might not have been part of Wits University. But of course, there'll be a lot of concerns at this stage. What's your reaction currently to this escalating situation as the protests are going on? University of Pretoria students now planning their own protest tomorrow.
Thank you so much for having me on the program. No, it's extremely worrying that this has happened, and my deepest condolences go out to the man's family and friends and colleagues and so on. I think that this is not something that should happen under any circumstances, but certainly not during sort of demonstrations at universities. I think that what we are seeing really, and it happens at the beginning of every academic year, is a symptom of something that's much deeper, of course. It's just the fact that we have a higher education system that is meant to serve all of society, but for whom most families, and for most families, it's a system that's not affordable. Now, of course, in 2017, President Zuma kind of introduced a new funding system, but that funding system catered for one category of students and not for all students. And for those students that fall outside of that NSFAS threshold, there is no system in place nationally to facilitate their accessing the university system. And that's something that's been glaring. It's something that has been the situation for the last 20 years, in fact. And we just simply haven't been able to produce a national system.
Why?
I think
why, Prof? Why do you think that's the case?
I think that's a very good question. I think it's a question that needs to be posed to the government. This is not the solution to this. Doesn't lie with the universities. The universities would be very happy to be a part of a process to find a solution. But it's not in the interest of universities to have students who cannot afford to be at university. It's antithetical to the purpose of universities. So this is something I think that really has to focus the attention of government in bringing together all the parties to find a solution to this vexed problem.
Where could that solution lie, and what could it look like, Prof?
Yeah. So, what we hear, of course, from government, and, there's no reason not to believe government on this, and that is that there just isn't the resources, to roll out the kind of system that we have for the NSFAS students. The NSFAS program itself is facing a 5.6 billion rand shortfall this year. So we understand that. But there's nothing preventing government from entering into a partnership with the banking sector, for example, to find a solution which might be something like an income contingent loan system, where students get loans and then begin to pay back just after they begin working, if you like. Now, when you speak to the banking sector, what you hear is that there's a need for government guarantees and so on. And that's something that the government has to come to the party with. The alternative is a scary alternative, because the alternative is that we'll end up with a higher education system that services just one sector of our population, that sector that can afford to be at universities, and that sector that qualifies for the NSFAS financial aid program. And then there'll be 30, 40, 50% of households that won't be able to participate in that in the learning enterprise, if you like.
Now, Prof, before I let you go, I spoke earlier to the Human Rights Commission, Advocate Gaum, who's dealing with the complaints around this whole issue of funding tertiary students at universities. And he said that the Cabinet is meeting today, and one of the issues they'll be discussing, of course, is around this matter. What would you ideally hope to come out of the Cabinet meeting around this very issue we are discussing now?
Yes, I think there are two things that I would like to hear today. The one is that the 5.6 billion rand shortfall for the NSFAS funding for the bursary, the DHET bursary program, that will be ensured. And we hope that the way that money will be secured is not by taking money away from the universities in terms of subsidies, because then the next thing you will see is staff cuts, you know. So it really has to be some kind of solution that addresses the issue of the shortfall. And then secondly, we hope, you know, with today's events and the events of the last 3 or 4 days at Wits, we hope that they will also turn their attention to the challenges facing missing middle students. And just this idea, and to focus on the idea that we need a long-term solution here, that we can't, at the beginning of every year, end up in exactly the same place that we were at the previous year.
I guess many people will say yes to that, yeah to that, because every year we seem to find ourselves here at the start of an academic year. A long-term and sustainable solution is going to be required. Thank you very much, Professor Ahmed Bawa, the CEO of University South Africa.